What is up, everybody, and welcome to this very, very first episode of Internet Famous, the brand new show about stuff and things. I really should have thought about this a little bit more before we started. I'm your host, Josh Allen, a.k.a. Double Or, and we do actually have a great first show lined up for you today. But first, allow me to introduce my, shall we say, legendary co-host. It's everybody's BFF, Mike B, a.k.a. Mike B. How's it going, bud?
How's it going? I'm excited. A little nervous, but also not.
I am extremely nervous right now because I'm like twisting 17 different knobs right now trying to make all this happen all at once.
DJ.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting day. Mm-hmm. Of course, every week here on Internet Famous, we do have a special guest, and for this very first episode, we wanted to bring in someone extra special. Somebody you'll definitely recognize, although last time you saw him, it may have been in a yellow dress. Everybody, it's Mike Shaftness. How you doing?
Now, I went through and looked for anything I could find in my wardrobe that was yellow. I don't have a single thing that is yellow. I was gonna try. It's not as fancy as Thor's blazer. I didn't have any yellow to even hint at.
Yep. Yeah. Everyone's like just like little PTSD, right? Just like basically.
As soon as it became a thing, it's like, all right, all yellow has to go. Can't wear it anymore. Just put it in a bonfire and light it up.
So yeah, Internet Famous, very first episode. This is exciting. Shaftnet, we haven't seen you in about a million years.
No, it's crazy. I realize this. It's been like 5 years, honestly, since I think that. Probably even more now that I think about it, because Josh, I think you went to Blizzard about a year. You were at Blizzard for about a year before I transitioned on as well. Yeah. And Mike, I think you stopped. I think we haven't done stuff for even longer, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a long time since I've been on the show with you guys.
Team Breaker before you guys did.
Yeah.
So yeah. That was pretty much the gap. Yeah, and as it's being pointed out, your background has not changed. It's almost like,
wrong. Beforehand, it was a Triforce. Now it's Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild has launched in the past 5 years. I know Nintendo has a terrible cycle at actually getting their games out, but I had something new, excited to be hyped about. You guys just missed me in all of my glory.
Yeah.
I couldn't foam at the mouth over this one, so I had to at least bring it.
No matter where you're at, you have to have monitors behind you, right? Is that the way it works?
Yeah. No matter where I move, no matter what I do.
A wall of monitors behind you in every studio.
Yeah.
Did you like Tyler Durden yourself? Did you like fall down a flight of stairs or something?
I joined a fight club. It's been great. You know.
Jesus. Wow. You're gonna get me banned from Twitch. You're gonna get me banned from Twitch.
It was actually funny. I was like, oh well, I'm wearing pajama pants for the rest of today because I'm in a lot of pain. I picked up a hobby. I don't want to go too much on a tangent on it, but it's an electronic skateboard. It has one wheel, completely autonomous. Mike, actually, you rode it at BlizzCon, and
I was fucking wasted when I did it. And everybody had their camera outs, and everyone was just like this, just like waiting. Like,
he's gonna fall. He's gonna fall.
And what I do, zoom, just all around the parking lot, just no problem.
So I just want to say, I think prior to you riding, I crashed about 2 or 3 weeks earlier, and I think I had stuff on my hands. And then suddenly, on the day that I'm supposed to see you again, I have another crash. So we're not allowed to hang out, I think. Because it's not working out for my health insurance.
I'm just getting used to all these bandages, and I thought it was a style thing. These kids and their like weird style things. That's what I thought it was.
It's like the '90s punk bracelets, but instead it's gauze and medical wrap. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, we do actually have a lot of actual stuff to talk about that we have lined up for this week's episode. And because it's the first episode, I haven't yet figured out how we're going to transition into things. So we're just going to feel this one out, and I'm just going to go with it.
Hard transition,
yeah. So it has been actually an extremely interesting week for esports. A couple of weeks now for esports. And by the way, Shavnik, could you find a way to turn yourself down just a tiny bit? Just a tiny bit? That would be great.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been a really interesting couple of weeks for esports. Not least because Overwatch League has come out like just straight out of the gates, just swinging, getting crazy sorts of numbers. They've actually, I don't know if you guys saw this or not. They got so many viewers, Overwatch League, that YouPorn actually put out a statement saying that that Overwatch League was hurting their viewership. Like, there were so many people who went, actually, you know what? I'm tired of porn. Overwatch League. I'm gonna watch that instead.
Why not?
What's really shocking?
Overwatch on Pornhub, and then they switched to actual Overwatch.
Wait a second. We live in a day and age where, oh wait, I gotta get my side. Monitor 1, monitor 2, and multiple tabs. Why didn't anyone just hit the extra tab button and then slide it over?
Because Overwatch League clearly takes your full undivided attention.
Honestly, I think that's true. As someone who's like a lot of us around the office have been tuning in and watching the Overwatch League and kind of paying attention to the different teams that are going on. And from just even from a player standpoint, it takes a lot of focus to be able to see all the different elements that are going on and to really kind of get a sense for how the match is going. You really have to be clued in and paying attention. So that very well could be no extra tab for Overwatch League.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I can't multitask like that. I'm incapable of such things.
You're doing a good job multitasking right now, I think.
I'm doing a horrible job multitasking right now. I'm super distracted. It's a good thing that I have this full like listing over here of things that I'm supposed to say. But what was actually, in my opinion, a lot more interesting just for like growth of esports in general, is this deal that Facebook has now just recently, like in the past day or so, signed with ESL. Because, so, okay, I guess we should back up and unpack this a little bit. Basically, ESL, the Electronic Sports League, has signed an exclusivity deal with Facebook. So now all of ESL's content is exclusively streamed on Facebook. And they started doing that for Dota. And of course, a bunch of people immediately started restreaming it on Twitch and then got banned. And then
after they got more views than
exactly
the official, like way more viewers than the official stream.
So that's kind of I think the big core question here is, so obviously Facebook really wants to get into esports. I think everybody really wants to get into esports right now. They're seeing the numbers that Overwatch League is pulling. They're closing YouPorn. They're opening up their email clients.
You know it's serious right there.
Exactly. And so everyone's trying to get in. I happen to know just from industry knowledge that Facebook has for a long time been really trying really hard to get into esports. And now signing an exclusivity deal with ESL, that's actually kind of crazy. But the question I think that we were sort of talking about beforehand and so on is, does Facebook even make sense for esports? Is that the right audience for esports? I know, Shafton. I know you had some.
I want to go. I want to go last on this one. If you guys haven't, like, not necessarily the dead last, but
sure.
I think I have counter thoughts to the interesting nature of why Facebook is the right audience, but doesn't necessarily fall into maybe where the gamers are. Okay,
so then Mike, you have to go because I've run out of things to say.
My number's up. No, so I feel like, and this is probably maybe personal preference because I don't have the data to back it up, right? And I don't know if maybe it's just a US thing or maybe if it's an age demographic thing or whatever. But I'm a father with a kid and a wife and a family, pictures and a cat, and I still don't post anything to Facebook. And I'm like, I feel like I'm supposed to be the target audience, right? For Facebook. And even I'm just like, yeah, my mom's on Facebook. Like, and I know that, and the thing is, I know that there are like 20-year-olds that are like, yeah, my mom's on Facebook, and their mom's as old as me. So I don't know, like, what is the, what's the balance? You know, I don't personally, I don't feel like Facebook Live is a place for esports because I don't feel like there's really any market there. There's not a lot of, I don't feel like they have a platform to really support it. I mean, obviously they have a literal platform of streaming video, sure, but I feel like it's so convoluted with everything else that they put in your face all the time that it doesn't really feel like a community that would be built around esports. And Twitch does have that feeling where it's like I could click almost anywhere on the site and get to more games, or maybe there's another esports feed or something like that. And I don't feel like Facebook supports that.
Yeah, like whenever I load up Facebook, it's usually I'm on the John, right? I'm sitting there like, okay, I need
Quick
something
scroll.
yeah, exactly. I need something to occupy myself that I can manage with one hand so that I don't make a mess out of my phone. And I'm just looking through things. Like I'm not going to be like, ooh, yeah, Dota's on. Let me watch that on my phone this entire time. I know that the mobile viewing, like stream viewing market has been growing pretty tremendously lately, but like, I'm honestly not sure that that's the way that people really want to consume this sort of content. You, generally speaking, if you're an esports viewer right now, you're probably watching that like maybe on a TV through like a Roku or a PlayStation or something, or like an Apple, whatever they call that thing, Apple Air something,
Apple TV.
Sure, that. But like, I guess kind of the sort of follow-up question there though is like, for a long time, esports has been trying to figure out how do we grow, right? Like, how does it get bigger? How does it continue to grow and gain more viewership? And maybe Facebook is a sort of idea for that, I guess. Like, yeah, I'm not sure. I want to hear what you think, Shafted.
Yeah, so I mean, my thing with it is, and this is why I wanted you guys to go first, because I didn't want to come out of the gate and just immediately go into ignoring or not acknowledging everything you guys said, because viewing experience, that just in terms of where the traffic is, the identifiability, the being able to kind of find different games, Twitch nails it and is perfect for that platform. But I've been actually having some recent conversations with just some friends. In fact, just last weekend, I was up in Los Angeles. I was staying with my old roommates who lived up there, and told them that I was going to an Overwatch League game, and started having a conversation with him about esports in general. And this is a conversation I've had with my family and friends who aren't gamers, and they always come back at me with this statement. And again, this is just me expressing the opinion of, esports can't be this as big as the NFL. And I try and get into a debate with them and have a conversation as why can't it be? Where can it go? What NFL football was only, as big as esports was, and it just took an audience to grow and for it to become something. And kind of where I got into this conversation just this last weekend, which I think to me just put a lot of context to the content, to the idea of esports and how you grow esports, is I think there is absolutely something to be said for each and every category of esports and what they're doing to grow their audience, to make it more viewable, to make it more digestible for their player base. But in the one big difference I see when it comes to watching esports is it doesn't, at least the ones that I've tried to observe myself, it doesn't have a completely new viewership form of watchability or readability. If the person watching doesn't understand the game, then they aren't able to instantly kind of begin to digest, follow the rules. If a map is changing all the time, or if heroes are changing all the time, it just creates so many different rules for them to follow, where football, as by example, is just the very basic rule you can explain to someone who's watching is, if the ball moves this way, good. If the ball moves that way, bad. And that's
basically
that's how you get started, is a base level understanding, and then you begin to learn the nuances, and you begin to watch more, and you begin to read up on it and experience more of what it has to offer. And so I think that in order to kind of to loop back around to what my point is that in order for esports to grow, like the NFL or any sport has grown, you have to be able to build a system where I don't even want to say players, because to me it's new people who, like, if I'm sitting there having a conversation with my old roommate and saying, hey, I'm going to this esports thing, and even if I can bridge the gap of his, video game competition, that's ridiculous. If I can make that conversion and I can invite him to come see and watch, it needs to be digestible enough for that audience to come, so that it can grow, much beyond just the player base. And that's the one thing that I think that Facebook does offer is a route. Because if you don't know about Twitch, I don't know if people are necessarily going to Twitch or watching things on Twitch. And that is a barrier for entry that Facebook can give esports to people.
I'm now.
Good.
I was just going to make a quick joke about now I'm thinking about in the future people describing football to people as it's like Rocket League, but with people instead of cars.
Exactly. No, so I feel like I see your point. And I still feel like the Dota deal was dumb. Even after we realized. So the point of being able to reach an audience that is make basically an accessible platform for an audience that is not savvy. Like, imagine some random person going to a random esports feed and having chat open and just being like, what? Those are all people watching? Like, instantly they're just like, oh my God, there's like, so like, what is happening? Like, it's like almost an instant turnoff for some people, right? Just this constant stream of emotes, and they don't understand what all these emotes mean. Who's that guy's face that keeps flying by at a million miles an hour? I could see that being a thing in terms of like accessibility, because Facebook Live wouldn't have that craziness. It's everything there. They understand, they know the platform. But the Dota deal was not the way to do it. Like, it's just for the exact same reasons that you described. It's like, the game itself is not accessible. It's a very, like, yeah, you could say, oh, they have to just take out the towers, they have to do this, but it gets so much more detailed than that. And there's like everything between jungling and lanes and all this stuff. Like, there's all these different aspects that I feel like don't register as quickly as, like, again, like Rocket League. Now, if Rocket League made the deal with Facebook Live, I'd be like, yeah like everyone, the ball, it's a fucking ball, it goes in a goal. Like, you just use cars instead of people. And sometimes the cars fly. So what? Like, that's the way.
Well, that's such a traditional rule set to explain to someone in order for them to jump in and start watching. And again, you're just using my example before, is if I was to jump in and share this thing, and that same roommate was to see my Facebook post, and all he needs to know is, hey, follow the ball into the goal. Sure, it's in a game, but he understands that rule set.
Yeah. I think the other sort of interesting thing about this deal, to me at least, is I just I happen to know that Facebook pays a lot of money for exclusivity deals like this. They will throw massive amounts of cash, usually more than, like, they're usually the most, like, if you're going to sign a exclusivity deal with somebody, Facebook will give you the most money. And so I know a lot of people will actually take that, knowing that they're going to get lower viewership, but just the vast amount of income that they get from Facebook is worth it. Facebook sort of sees it as a loss leader, I think, and sort of trying to establish their platform as a place to go for esports. I don't think that they are expecting Dota to be like the thing. Well, if they're smart, they're not expecting Dota to be the thing that that really hooks the esports audience, like you were saying, Mike, because it is such a sort of it's not a very transparent game and not a very easy to follow game if you don't know everything that's going on in there already. But maybe their thought is that by being successful with Dota, or at least being not awful with Dota, that eventually they will be able to convince people that they can get the sort of Rocket Leagues and get the more maybe eventually they're going to try for Overwatch or something like that. It's hard to tell really at this point, but it does.
Do you think the plan that Facebook's trying to execute on in terms of securing rights to specific games? I mean, I think that it's somewhat parallel to, and I don't have any new information on this. I just know that back when I was doing a lot of YouTube content creation, obviously Facebook was trying to ramp up its ability to compete with YouTube as a video delivery service platform. Do you think it's something where they're maybe just trying to shoot out as many different options just to kind of see what can strike fire to help elevate their brand from beyond just a social media communication platform?
Possibly. I think it's largely just that, like, the entire basically online entertainment industry right now, including Facebook, because that's something that they want to be part of, is really starting to recognize that, hey, hang on, esports might be onto something here, especially with Overwatch League shutting down YouPorn, basically. If that can happen, then clearly they're onto something, right?
Great barometer to keep returning.
It really is.
How like, does your event impact Pornhub? No, not interested in investing money.
Nothing.
It's basically the online viewership equivalent of the halftime flush, where like during the Super Bowl, all of a sudden water usage triples like 5 times during the triples 5 times. I don't know what that means, but math during the halftime.
15?
Sure. Yeah, 15 times increase. We'll go with that. Yeah, I think this is Facebook wanting to get into esports. I think this is probably ESL going, that's a lot of money, actually. Like, a lot,
it
like,
pays for the event, basically. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Like, if you as an esports organizer can make more money off of a 5,000 viewer event with Facebook than you can off of a 500,000 viewer event with Twitch, then that makes fiscal sense. Like, that at the end of the day, it's there to make money, right?
It's a dark way to look at it, but yeah, I mean, if you got to remember, at the end of the day, everything's a business, and everything has to stay profitable in order to stay in production. So sometimes things are sadly about the bottom line. Yeah.
The other thing that's interesting about this story that I was reading in the, I believe it was the Tech Radar article about it, is that they actually mentioned that Facebook is trying to look into VR esports viewership. So this is already weird, already strange. We know that Dota has a in-client, and again, Dota is already a weird one because you can watch most of the esports just right in the client anyway, because that's how Valve wants to do the thing. Yeah, so it's already weird. But Facebook is apparently trying to figure out some way to get to the point where you can, in VR, through some element of VR streaming that I haven't fully wrapped my head around yet, like actually be watching I guess they send you like a full 360-degree feed and you can just look around in it or something, which is interesting, but also, like, I want someone else managing the camera for me. I don't want to have to be like, oh, where'd it go? What's going on?
What's going on?
It's like, great, I got shitty virtual seats back here.
Yeah.
You're all the way up in the nosebleed.
Like,
you can barely see the Jumbotron.
There's like some asshole, some tall guy just sitting in front of you, of course, like, just in real life.
Like, they actually render in everyone who's watching it on VR, so you have to, like, look past them and stuff. I mean, it'd be an authentic experience.
Like, the entire arena is empty. It's just all VR attendees.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah,
I think the idea is weird, but actually, I want to throw this over to Mike for just a second, because I think that while the concept's weird, your good friend Darnell has been jumping in and out of a game called VR Chat, and again, from watching Darnell go through VR Chat, it's fascinating. I don't see the point, but I see the humor and the fun. I don't get the purpose, but I also have never. I don't have a VR headset, so I haven't had the chance to experience what VR Chat is like. And obviously, I would assume you've had some conversations with Darnell about VR Chat, and could that experience build into an interesting platform for people to experience esports through?
That's a tough one. It'd be tough for me to draw some lines between VR Chat and watching like an esports event in the way that maybe they had intended. I don't know how Dota necessarily the VR function would look. I haven't seen it. But I know that there's Air Max. Air Max, they had a VR setup where basically you could look around like the entire map like this, and you had the map just in front of you, and it was just like basically being like a drone almost. You kind of look around just like this. VR Chat, the VR Chat experience is more like basically becoming somebody else and just basically, going and just having fun with a bunch of people who are being somebody else, just like you would in like any kind of social online environment, like an MMO or something like that, where you have a character that an avatar or something like that, and it represents you, and you can go do crazy things and giant jiggly boobs, and
because that's what the internet's really for.
And it's a dude, and this is like,
are we just combining the esports with YouPorn now? Is that
you can have esports, or you can have porn at the esports event, so that way they're not impacted.
But I will say though that having a kind of interaction with in a VR environment, like especially having played Tabletop Simulator in VR, like it's basically just like sitting at a virtual table and you could look around just like you're looking at your keyboard and you kind of look and see different angles. And so I could see that being a thing if they wanted to create something like that for people to experience. It's kind of like a niche kind of bonus experience of being able to look down at the map and follow everything. And then maybe when they look up, projected on the background is like a giant TV with the actual feed, and the entire time you're getting real-time commentary and everything. You can maybe like touch different characters on the map and pull up stats or something or whatever. There's probably a ton of stuff that they could do, in a VR environment, using VR in, for like esports and whatnot. It would never, I don't feel like, I won't say never, right? But no time soon is it going to replace the experience of just simply watching the screen and letting somebody else do all the work. Because a lot of times, because VR already is kind of a hassle. You have the headset on, you have an area that's cleared out for it. You have to make sure there's no one's going to walk in on you and scare the shit out of you, right? Like it's not the same as just sitting on a computer and being able to multitask and do other things while you just have something up in the corner and watching TV or watching, whatever it is that you're watching. But the 2D experience, I don't feel like it's going to go anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, like I could see a case where like you have a sort of like virtual camera operator that controls where you're looking from in your headset, so you just sort of use it to look around. You can be like, oh, the ball, whoa, it went past me and stuff, and like that could be kind of cool. And I don't want to ever, again, I should say, doubt VR's capability of doing something that I'm not thinking of, because it keeps happening. They keep thinking of things that I haven't. But it's definitely it's an interesting sort of like, how does that even work sort of thought process. I'm not sure.
think about real sports, right? Like I'm sure all of us have been to
real sports.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like
hey, I made sure not to say that when I was making my argument.
I made the difference between esports and physical sports, right? Or whatever you want to call it. Shut up, Josh. So imagine going to like an actual event, like somebody's not playing on a computer screen, going to an actual event with a field and everything, right? I'm sure you guys have been to like a field-based sport game. I don't even know what to say to you guys anymore. Put me in a corner here. Like when you're there, like even if you have great seats, you don't really get to see as much as if you were to watch like an actual feed, a stream or watch the game on TV. You don't get to see as much. If something happens in one of the dugouts and you're over left field or something like that, like you're not going to see what's happening in there, Yeah. So it's when you go to a game, it's about the experience. And this holds true for like Worlds. I've been to a few Worlds events, and like it's the same thing there. You go there and it's part of the experience of being around people that are into the game and just kind of like just feeling that energy, right? That's what it's like to go to a game. And I feel like translating that into like a virtual environment is just going to be a bonus thing that people could do at home if they want to. But I just can't see it. I can't personally see it ever replacing either one of those two things. So I feel like it's just somewhere. It's somewhere in the weird middle, but it's not. It's not like being there, and it's not like watching on TV.
I would also say too, having done both, having watched competition streams and then also been to Worlds. Quiet dog. Having been to Worlds and having watched streams, the experience of going is only, in my opinion, for exactly what you said, Mike, because I actually have a harder time watching and digesting the competition at an arena than if I was to be sitting at home watching it on my TV direct to feed. Because when you're at an arena, your point of reference and your ability to watch is watching from the distance on a jumbotron that could be X feet away or at an awkward angle. And I just find that it's not I have a more pure viewing experience of the event when I'm at home, but I enjoy the arena setting for the sake of being around all those people and being around the roar. So it's two completely different things. That why would you take, and again, just in my opinion, a harder viewing experience of being at the arena if you're not actually going to get the benefits of the what it's like to be at the arena.
Now, I could say that watching a flat screen, I mean, you could probably have the 3D model or something there if you wanted to, but watching like the flat screen stream feed in a setting like not VR chat, there was another game, it was like I think it was like full screen or something like that. But basically what full screen is, and I'll just call it that for now, it's basically like small scale VR chat, but you also stream your desktop feed. So you could stream games and all that stuff. and you have avatars and everything. I could see if that setting was available, and this is probably what you're talking about with VR chat. That makes perfect sense. Like if you're in VR chat, again, like you do kind of feel like you're virtually surrounded by other people, right? And if you are virtually surrounded by other people. And if you were in an environment that was an esports environment, you could be there and hear people talking, and there'd be all the commotion, and you hear people cheering and all that stuff. See the avatars move around. If they're watching a flat screen feed of the stream in the virtual environment, I feel like it'd be strange, of course. But at the same time, like, there are people who are going to be making friends in this, Ready Player One style environment. They're going to be forming these bonds and everything. I had a guy tell Darnell told me that somebody told him, after talking to him a couple minutes, he's like, "Hey man, you seem like a pretty cool dude. I'm gonna add you as a friend or whatever." And he's like, "Okay, just add him as a friend." It was kind of eye opening. It was like, oh, these people aren't just here for Knuckles memes and and whatever. Like it was an actual social environment. So maybe.
I think I've got it. I've got the perfect format.
What's that?
Comedy night.
Wait.
But it's just a big screen with whatever esports you're watching up there.
That's not a bad idea.
And occasionally you boo players out of the game or something. I don't know how that would work.
Now, comedy night though, like you're just sitting, like you see the whole screen and you can jump tables, right? Or are you putting yourself VR?
Yeah, exactly.
Individual tables.
Yeah,
good.
Like if you tried to take the sort of like bunch of friends hanging out at a place watching a big screen, but you just put that in VR, so it's VR chat, but there's a big screen over the side that has some esports going on it. I actually think that could kind of work. That could be kind of interesting.
It would be like a Mystery Science Theater, but like
honestly,
it would totally work. Actually, I feel like
the other thing that's interesting about that is if you think about it again, looking more over to traditional sports, you have game day. Hey, everybody come over, let's watch football. I'm gonna make some hot dogs and because I all the things that I do when I watch a football game. You have that, but you honestly you don't have that same accessibility when it comes to esports, because we make our friends and we make our squads or our teammates from playing across the internet. So that would be a way to allow raid members, or if you have an Overwatch team, you could get in. You could all six of you could hop into a place and do something together rather than just sitting on headset. I could see it being a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we do have a bunch of other topics to get to, so let's move on to another one because there is a bunch of interesting stuff. I just went in a complete circle with that sentence. That's how frazzled I am at the moment.
Main hosting is hard.
It is. It is.
Well, you just push buttons, man. It's easy.
It's really easy.
Push buttons.
Especially when you also have to know what you're talking about. But anyway, this was actually really interesting that this news came out like right before all of this Facebook esports stuff came up, which is that Twitch has actually, it's like sort of, I guess, as the divorce goes or something, like Twitch has actually gotten the rights to a whole bunch of Disney stuff, like coming over from YouTube. So specifically, they have signed, let's see, their official...
Skeptic Markiplier.
Yeah, their official press release said that social video service Twitch today, this was on the 18th, announced a partnership with Disney Digital Network to bring exclusive content from 4 of the largest Disney-managed digital content creators, Jacksepticeye, Luzu Games, Markiplier, and Strawberry17, to Twitch. Each of these creators will manage their own channels on Twitch, where they'll broadcast live and create exclusive video-on-demand content as part of a multi-year partnership. So this I thought was really, really super interesting because we've known for a while that Twitch has been basically trying to take on YouTube. And simultaneously, YouTube has been trying as hard as they can to commit suicide and hand everything over to Twitch in the process.
Apples and apples, right?
Yeah, exactly. But we know that Twitch for a while has been really, really, really trying to sort of coax these creators over from YouTube and say, hey, you can upload videos on Twitch as well, right? And they just came out with this this premieres thing not too long ago, where now when you upload something onto Twitch, it's sort of I don't remember if it's mandatory or not, but it's sort of like makes it so that when you upload a new video, you set a time for it to go live, and then it will be broadcast live on your channel as though you were live streaming.
And you can't be streaming, but it has to be like premiered, basically.
Yeah, which is a little bit weird. That's kind of strange to me, that whole feature, because I don't know, it just doesn't seem to me how, I don't know, it just seems weird to me. I would rather finish a video, upload it, and then be like, all right, done. Like, that's all that work. I'm done with that.
All that hard work is now done. Now it's an extra layer. Oh, crap,
yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it's like you upload it and you get to get a little bit of live. Like, I can understand why it's still a sensible thing for a streamer to do on Twitch if they are uploading stuff, because that way you get a little bit of that live sort of revenue from, like, hey guys, live right now, hanging out in the chat room, let's watch my video, and people can come in and sub or whatever. But we know that for a long time they've been trying to convince people to come over from YouTube, and now they've just basically bought several of the largest YouTubers to come over to it.
Here would be my only concern with their approach is, are they? Again, I think that there's absolutely a play to be made to, especially with all of the drama that's going on around YouTube, ad revenue, personalities, et cetera, et cetera. There's always room for another platform to pop up. But are these YouTube personalities going to be coming over to Twitch and doing Twitch-related things that only just further seeds into the idea of what Twitch is as a platform? Or are they bringing them in to begin to challenge and create, 10-minute video show type formats?
Yeah.
That will begin to curve people's opinion as to what you do on Twitch.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say that's an interesting thought. So please have an actual thought.
You take these people that have this thing in their wheelhouse. They are clearly very good at making videos and uploading them, right? Like them doing that's their thing. And there are people who they look at that and that's not I stream. I do it everything live. I turn it on and I stream and then I'm done. It's over. And I don't have to do anything else or whatever. I could see them, bringing them over and then just basically being like, you could stream every once in a while, whatever. But I seriously doubt, and I hope that they're not bringing them over to just make them stream. Obviously, they're going to but like to basically put focus on the streaming aspect, because that's not how they got big. They could have done that on their own, obviously. And honestly, Twitch doesn't need any more of that. It does need people to bring an audience over for their produced content, because that's the area that Twitch needs to basically put out there and show that this is something that we could do as well. And we don't do it just like we make it special. It's not like YouTube where you just upload whatever you want from your phone or whatever. We make it special by putting in this package. And here are people that like Markiplier or basically not PewDiePie, and now it's a special production made just for you, and we premiere it, and they're going to be there for it, and it's a completely different experience than just, oh, it's in my sub box and here it is. I hope that they don't, like, by the end of the year they just stream full time or something. It's just kind of like, well, that's not something that we needed on Twitch at all.
And, like, that's a really good point too, because you're talking about the actual experience of watching pre-made content on Twitch is kind of a pain in the ass. Like, you go to someone's channel page, and if they're managing their channel correctly, you go there and either they're hosting someone or they've got a vodcast going or something. You're not going to go to the channel page and be presented with a list of here's their videos. So I'm almost wondering if maybe that's a direction that Twitch is going to end up moving with this thing, if they're going to be looking to, like, allow a creator to say, okay, when someone comes to my, like, if someone comes to twitch.tv/aka Mike B and you're not live, maybe they give you instead the option to say, okay, well, why don't you watch this Darnell VR video or something like that? Like, why don't
like, instead of just having the not streaming now, image.
yeah, exactly. Like, maybe that's the sort of direction they want to go with this thing. I think that would be really cool. Like, they would have to allow the creator to sort of determine that, because people who focus entirely on live streaming will still want to, just for their own ecosystem purposes, they'll still want to be able to say, no, when I'm not live, auto host somebody. When I'm not live, play this vodcast or something.
I would also say too, again, as a person who's probably not as savvy with the recurring or the returning Twitch experience, definitely watch people live, and I feel like you'll get clips that people will clip out from streams that you can catch. But I feel like the searchability for content, for Twitch content, is a lot more difficult than, say, a site like YouTube. Whereas I can find my content creators, type in a content creator's name and a relevant keyword to see if he's done a review on X game, and it'll most likely come up. I don't use Twitch like that. The first question, I guess, would be: do you guys, and is there functionality like that? And two, as someone who, if you do it, how would you rate the experience of it?
Yeah, I don't know. Like for me nowadays, I was just saying the other day, like I barely watch YouTube anymore personally. Like it's just the style of delivery for that content. And part of it is just because like I'm a person who has a lot of friends who are Twitch streamers. So when I'm sitting down and I have some time to kill, I would rather have the opportunity to go and hang out with my friend who's playing a video game than go and watch a YouTube video. That's not to say that I don't watch YouTube videos, but usually it's because I'm looking for something in particular, like a review or something, like you were saying. Like I was watching a bunch of videos the other day for this VR headset that I ordered because I was like, okay, I want to know what this is like, and I want to see what people are saying about it. And I'm not going to go try to find a streamer for that because A, that probably doesn't even exist, and B, how would I even do that? But I can go around YouTube and search for it. And I know a lot of people do still consume YouTube content in the sort of typical format. Hopefully they're watching this show as well on Mike B's YouTube channel. Check it out. But
wouldn't they need to be checking it out if they were watching it?
Oh. That's too deep for me, man.
Shut up, Shaftman.
Smart over these past 5 years.
Sure. So anyway, getting rid of Shaftnet. No. But yeah, I'm interested to see if this is sort of indicative of a further push from Twitch to try and get into that sort of content and maybe even revitalize that sort of content and try to push people in that direction. And if it is, how it will go, because I don't know. I feel like for me personally, and maybe you guys are completely different, but for me personally, it seems like live content is more interesting and engaging to me. I'd rather go to Twitch TV and see what's on than go to YouTube and see what somebody else has already made most of the time.
For me, it depends on my company, right? Yeah, I do. I watch a lot of photography related content, like outside of like the gaming stuff. I watch a lot of photography related content, but I use Twitch for music actually. Yeah, sure, I watch the occasional game thing or whatever, but like I watch Jovian like all the time. And there's a couple other like drum and bass producers and everything, and they just basically stream, they just DJ. And it's funny, I could probably watch his VODs anywhere else, but for some reason, knowing that it's live, even though he talks over half the damn mix, knowing that it's live, like it's still great background. I love it. So when I'm by myself, it's like, yeah, I'm on Twitch, right? Unless I'm looking up some kind of review or something. But like I don't even check like my sub list to see like who I'm sub to for YouTube, unless it's something. I get notifications for the ones I really like truly care about, right?
Right. Yeah.
But if I'm with my wife downstairs, then yeah, I'll pull up YouTube, because then I know that I could pull up something. I know what it is. I at least have an idea what it is beforehand, right? When I go to Twitch, it's not something, I don't feel like it's something that you can watch with somebody who maybe isn't familiar with Twitch, where like you get on, it's like, all right, babe, now watch. It's like 30 minutes of nothing, then something's gonna happen. like I don't know if that's something that's accessible to somebody who's not familiar with that. But if I'm with my friend and it's late and we're fucked up and we're probably watching Twitch, we're actually definitely watching Twitch, and it's always twitch.tv/black, and it's basically this guy who just gets high all the time, which is exactly what we're doing. So it's like, it actually just like for some reason it's like hanging out with a buddy. I think it depends on company.
And I think it also depends on what kind of the format of what you're trying to digest. Because again, I think that as you're saying, that live experience, like if you're looking to just kind of kill some time and hang out and watch something, or I think, again, Mike, to your point, exactly, if you're going to try and share something with someone, you want to know exactly what you're sharing. You're like, hey, I saw this for a specific reason. This 10-minute video brings up a good point. You should watch it. That's more shareable than just sitting down and watching a live stream, as well as, my dog is whining, as well as quiet, as well as the type of content that I'm trying to digest, because there's just an innate difference. Free plug for Game Theory. It's a great channel on YouTube that has a lot of really cool 10-minute like theory related videos about the craziest thing about why Mario is a psychopath. But that I don't think that you can deliver that type of content. I'm gonna have to go make him be quiet in a second. I don't think you deliver that kind of content on Twitch as it stands currently in a live format.
Yeah. I think there's going to need to be at least some UI updates to really make that really a better user experience, for sure. I do want to move on though, because we do have a time limit on this show, and
it just shuts off when it hits the time.
I turn into a pumpkin.
We're adding it, just power goes out.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to move on to this topic because it's really super interesting. Bioware is apparently, theoretically at least, according to this report coming out of Kotaku, and I'm actually reading it on Polygon here, they're actually apparently in some trouble with their game Anthem. So this is an RPG that they announced a while ago, and it seems like it's a new franchise for them, but it seems, at least at first glance, very similar to what you sort of expect out of BioWare in terms of RPGs, and they do RPGs very well, so that makes sense. The thing about this is they've just delayed Anthem. It was originally meant to be Q4 2018, and now it's sometime in 2019. Basically, they've delayed it. And what's interesting about it is that they're basically, at least this report from Kotaku is basically taking this as BioWare is basically doubling down on Anthem. They're basically saying, okay, this game has to be good. This game has to be absolutely amazing. And if it's not, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble. And so they're doubling down on this thing. They've actually slowed down production on a couple of other things. They were working on a Dragon Age reboot, and obviously still doing some production on Star Wars: The Old Republic. They've sort of diverting their attention away from that. Again, this is all according to the report from Kotaku and again from Polygon. I don't think BioWare has actually confirmed any of this at this point, other than potentially the delay itself. But like, this one's also sort of, I think a lot of people sort of saw this coming with the way that Andromeda went. Like, I didn't actually realize until I was reading this, mostly because I haven't been paying attention to Andromeda, that they're actually just not making DLC for Andromeda at all. It has zero post-launch content.
They're going to wrap it up in comics and books or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Which is a huge statement in the market that we live in today, though, for them to not make any DLC. Wow. Yeah.
Well, and
it wasn't even worth it.
and the way that Mass Effect has always worked, like all of the Mass Effect games have always had at least like 2 or 3 post-launch DLCs.
Yeah.
Like even
there's
the
always
first
like
one.
the feel good about your mission DLC. There's always like an end of story or some kind of whatever like DLC. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's another note here about how BioWare is also apparently reevaluating its approach to Dragon Age in light of what they're saying, publishing expectations about games as a service. And the idea of games as a service is something that's still relatively new to a lot of publishers. It's something that Blizzard has been doing for quite a while. But I know a lot of publishers are still just sort of like, okay, we make a game, we release the game is done, bump, done, move on, make the next game. And that's how it works. And that's how the model worked for a long time. Whereas, like, you look at a game like Diablo 3, which was still up until very recently, and I don't know if there's anything planned for the future. Disclaimer, I have no idea about anything in terms of Diablo development pipelines. But it has been releasing stuff very, very recently. That's that sort of like games as a service sense. So does this mean that maybe we'll eventually see some sort of like, I know I just said that they were talking about moving away from Dragon Age, but does this mean that we could see some sort of like game as a service Dragon Age in the future at some point? Because that'd be cool, I think.
Like games as a service, when concerning Dragon Age, it sounds like you're trying not to say a WoW clone.
No. What I mean is like the idea of, okay, I bought this game. Destiny 2 is also a good example of this, where there's like free updates from time to time after having bought the game. Yeah.
I think to that same point too, another developer that I've heard that's kind of embracing this philosophy, for better or for worse, I am a massive early generation Final Fantasy fan. I played Final Fantasy 15, not so much, enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed the ones in the past, but it is a statement that Square has come out and said that they are specifically trying to align all future Final Fantasy releases with a service model in mind as they develop multiple things. Now, again, I don't know. I can't necessarily speak to how enjoyable all of the content was for Final Fantasy 15, but I think that embraces your philosophy of what you're saying, what they would potentially do for Dragon Age, where Final Fantasy 15 had its game launch, and then it had 4 episodic episodes about each one of the brothers. I think it 3, 4. I think it had 4. As well as they've come out and confirmed that they're going to be doing more episodes this year, as well as small little patches along the way to help flesh out the story. So I think, and those are all season pass kind of items. But what I think has been beneficial for how poorly the story of Final Fantasy 15 was received at its launch is that it has given them the opportunity to continue to develop and flesh out the characters that people felt very underwhelmed by at the game's launch. So it does do twofold. It keeps revenue coming in for the game, and it gives the developers an action plan to continue to develop and build these worlds that's outside of an MMO format.
Yeah. Just so that people like are aware, like BioWare is a big name to all of us.
Yeah.
But really because of like 2 games, right? three games, right? It's
franchises,
not like
sure.
It's not like one of those dev studios that franchises that has like a number of things under their belts. Even like Blizzard now has a ton of games under their belt dating all the way back. BioWare is in this position now where they have to essentially make or break it with Anthem because they don't have anything else. Like they had Shadow Realms for a minute, and then they canceled that. They had obviously the Dragon Age, Mass Effect. We know that they're done with that for the time being, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like there's really not a whole lot of stuff. I mean, there's SWTOR, right? But that's just.
I was going to bring up Old Republic, but that's not exclusively theirs, is it?
It's their product, and they're making the content for it. I don't know which location is working on it, honestly, but yeah, like they don't have a choice but to make Anthem good. Like they're in a position where they have if they come out and it's in the article, it says that it's not up to EA standards, which that sounds like a bad thing actually. Like, or so I say, it sounds like a good thing that's not up to EA standards. So it's just. Yeah, they're at a point right now where they have to make Anthem good, and that's it. Because I feel like if Anthem bombs, that's gonna be the last thing in EA is gonna be like, yeah, you guys suck at making games, and then they're gonna just like basically close them down.
Here's what I'm a little bit afraid of, though, because I remember when I was looking at the show notes and I was like, Anthem, what the hell is Anthem? Then I looked at the link and looked up the video, and it was the E3 launch trailer. I was like, oh, it's this game that looked like it was going to be a very stereotypical oversell of the capabilities of like, here's what the game is. And then you purchase it when it comes out, and you realize that it was nowhere near as what it was sold to. I'm not saying that'll be the case. I've grown numb to that form of reveal, open world, look at this splendor, only to have the launch come out and realize it wasn't really what they were selling at E3 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, and that's a lot of why this delay could actually be a good thing for the game, because maybe they're going through the same process, and they're sort of realizing, like, okay, this game does have to be great, or else BioWare's in a lot of trouble. So that's why I'm still kind of optimistic, and I'm hopeful that this goes well. Mostly because I don't want to see anything happen to BioWare. Like, they've been one of my favorite publishers for a long time, and so or developers for a long time. Like, I always used to, I had like 4 favorite developers whose names started with B. It was BioWare, Bethesda, Blizzard, and Bungie. And it was weird how that worked out. Like, there was a period of time where all of the best games were made by a developer starting with the letter B.
You knew it could get instant success.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, they should have called it Waresoft or something.
B games, B-rated games.
Yeah, but yeah, hopefully this goes well for them. We are just about out of time, but I definitely want to take a second to just laugh at this last story. I don't know if you guys have heard of the game SOS. It just went into early access recently. And what they decided to do was have
oh yeah,
they were gonna have Snoop Dogg do a promotional stream for it, and so he was just sitting there playing the game, right? Playing the game.
I'm playing a game right now.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'm actually gonna. We can actually just go ahead and watch this clip. Yeah, exactly, Mike. Exactly. We can just go ahead and watch this clip real quick because this is what happened. He's really good at games.
Man, so good. He's playing with his feet, Josh. He's playing with his feet.
Yeah.
Or he's playing with his phone. You don't know. Maybe there's a wireless sync phone app.
Yeah, maybe he's
using like a auto hotkey like mapping type system,
like remote
phone.
desktop or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know, but that was that's it's actually like in a bizarre way. I actually think that really worked out well for these guys because I mean we're talking about it. And here we are on obviously the best podcast on the internet talking about it. So
here's here's the thing that I think is crazy. It gets wrapped around that whole concept of like no press is bad press or bad, like, I don't know, whatever the saying is. But yeah. I think it was 6 months ago or whatever that going around Facebook was the video of like Jim Carrey losing his mind and like hit some level of existentialism, and it was like, holy cow, what the heck happened to Jim Carrey? And he was talking about a Netflix documentary series that he was in about Andy Kaufman, and I believe, if I know my timeline correctly, the documentary came out maybe a month after the interview leaked. And I watched the documentary, and then suddenly I realized not only what he was talking about and kind of where he was at, but part of me almost began to wonder if it was just like a brilliant marketing strategy to really raise awareness of something. And in this scenario, another thing where it's like, oh, haha, look, because how many times do games bring in celebrity endorsements, and bring them in as like, oh, Snoop Dogg's playing SOS. Okay, that'll bring in a certain amount of people, but how much more can it bring in if Snoop Dogg, like Snoop Dogg does, just puts both hands up and completely reveals he's not actually playing the game? And now you've got so much more press around that idea that still did exactly what they wanted to do.
Yeah. So it's not like he just shows up and they're like, yeah, play the game, go. Like they definitely brainstormed this with him, right? They definitely like not the entire thing from like beginning to end. And I realize I have no like tinfoil around here. But yeah, I definitely could have seen this thing come up where like maybe even Stu was kind of like, hey, what if I just like check my phone in the middle? What if I just like, do I have to like didn't play the game the whole time? And maybe someone was like, fuck it, like, yeah, like why not just if you want to just like not not play it, whatever, in the middle of the stream, that's totally fine. I feel like though at its core, you can't go wrong. You could put Snoop in front of anything, and I feel like it's could
just the spectacle of it.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Here's the other thing. What's the nature show where he watches where the rat's running, or the mouse or something is running along a field of snakes, and that gets tons of shares on Facebook. Like, again, it's that layer of like virality that is becoming a viable market strategy. And the best way to make something go viral is to have it be more off the cuff and not belt forced, like what that could end up feeling like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to say the least.
We should have got Snoop to be on the show, just not participate. Just have him in like a small window down there.
Just have a picture of Snoop just hanging out the entire time. Someone else is talking for him. All right. So we're gonna basically wrap this up at this point, but there's one more thing that we want to give a try here on this show that I don't think anyone else has done, that I'm excited about. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually ask the chat room to name this episode of Internet Famous. The very first episode, we need a name for this episode. So basically, as soon as the chat delay...
Make it a good one.
Make it a good one, yeah. Come up with a good name. What should we call this episode, chat room? As soon as the delay finishes
Is
up
there a
here.
voting system here, or are we just picking the first one
We're
we
just gonna
see?
pick the one we think is funny.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna go ahead and pull up chat here on the screen, which is terrifying.
Don't get your hopes
Hang
up.
on. Here we go. Let's take a look here. Snoop's SOS B-rated. That's good.
All right.
Time to get the band back together.
Shut up, dog.
Shut up, Dogg. Shut up, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Oh,
Alright.
man.
Shaftnit's Big Adventure, starring not Gary. Okay.
Aw.
Mic'd up Mike. I still like Shut Up Snoop Dogg.
I like it
Shut
too.
up, Snoop Dogg is pretty good.
Shut up Snoop Dogg. All right. I think we're gonna go with Shut Up Snoop Dogg.
There you go.
So yeah. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on the show. This has been really, really great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited to be back doing this stuff again. Thank you so much, Mike Shaftnit, for coming on and filling in as our special guest host here today. Any particular call-outs you want to make before we head off?
Oh gosh. No, not really, because I'm not internet famous. So don't go follow me on Twitter at Mike Shaftnit. I don't even think I have a Facebook page anymore. Twitter's like the only thing I do, which oof, to get on that. I clearly can't be internet famous if that's what I'm doing.
If you recorded your fall, you could have been, but you messed up.
Not the kind of internet famous you want to be.
Nice. Mike B, aka Mike B. What do you got going on? Anything you want to shout out here?
Darnell is doing a lot of VR chat stuff. People have been dying for more Darnell. I got him back, I feel like, in the best way possible without having to play WoW. So it's perfect.
Wow.
Wow.
Fucking rude. Fucking rude. I'm right here. Jesus. All right, and I have been Josh Allen, aka Devilore. I do things on the internet sometimes. Please follow me on Twitch because that's how I measure my self-worth as a human. Anyway, so that's gonna wrap it up for this very first episode. Thanks again so much, guys, for being here. And we will see you guys next week. We have another very, very exciting guest host already lined up for next week. We may be talking that up here very, very soon. But keep an eye out for that. Of course, please do follow us on social media as well. You can find us at IntFamous, INT Famous, on both Twitter and on Facebook. And of course, follow yes, that up there. Good job. It's that direction.
It's the center squares. Good job.
Famous,
exactly.
INT Famous.
INT Famous. Yeah, check us out. Anyway, that's it from it for the I'm just gonna push this button. See you later.
If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again.
All right.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yay, it worked.
Did a thing.
It worked. Holy crap.
You're gonna really hate me, Mike. I forgot that you have to push start recording in Zencaster for it to work.
You're joking.
No.